What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Alicia, and in this video I am going to do my last Halloween tumbler of the 2021 season. So in this video I'm going to show you how I did this 4-color ombre with a vinyl wrap, because all of these are connected, glow in the dark vinyl. And that is it. So if you're interested to see how I did this, stick around and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, I have a 20-ounce skinny straight by Maker Flow. Please don't ask what happened to it before I started to spray paint it. It's a hot mess up cup. So I am using 3 colors. I am using Rustoleum's Polished Metallic. It's like a coppery color. I am using Rustoleum's Colored Chrome, red chrome color, and Rustoleum's 2x Gloss Grape. And so I'm showing you, sorry when I get out of frame, I'm showing you how I spray painted these colors on there, and then I had to reverse them because I was going the wrong way. So I didn't show you doing that, but yeah, so make sure you're aware of top and bottom when you're doing this. Don't make the same mistake I did. I fixed it and it worked out just fine. Okay, so I let my cup dry for like an hour, hour and a half, and I'm going to apply my glitter using the epoxy method. And the reason why I'm using the epoxy method is because I feel like I can get a better blend and I can take my time. I am using a fast set epoxy, so it will be dry in 2 hours, and I've got a good working time of, 10-15 minutes on this. And so I'm just putting a super thin layer on the cup. I am using this, this is your adhesive in replace of any other glue that you would use, like Mod Podge, Tack It, or a spray adhesive. And so I'm just getting a nice thin layer. If you're finding you're having a hard time working it down, you can heat your cup up a little bit and that'll help it smooth down a little bit. But you really want to be able to work it. If you have too much epoxy, your glitter is going to slide off and you're going to need to put it on your turner. And I prefer to just do the hang method to let it dry once I've applied my glitter. So the first color I am using is Everything Nice, and it's this real pretty like orangey color, a little bit of goldish kind of color, and I'm using that on the bottom. And so I start by sprinkling it on the cup down at the bottom, and I hold the cup straight, and then I start to tilt the cup so that I can get the glitter to fade down. And I shake off the excess, but not too much. And I switch to my next color, which is Sparta. And so this is more of a coppery color. And I go and I start above the fade line and I start putting it on the cup. I have my cup straight. And then I start to tilt my cup upwards and then downwards. So I'm tilting it both ways. So I want it to fade into the orange and I want it fade into the reddish color. And so when I feel like that's pretty good, then I'm going to come in with my third color, which is Dr. Pepper. And this is a real pretty like maroon-ish Dr. Pepper. Look, it's the same color as Dr. Pepper. So it's a great name. And so I'm doing the same thing. I start in the middle, get my good coat on, and then I start to tilt downward and then upward. So I want it to fade into This is Sparta, and then I want it to fade into the purple. And so when I get that to the way I want it, and this is all like just a start because I'm going to go back and forth, so I'm just really starting to get the initial coat. So I'm going to switch out, and then I'm going to go in with my purple, which is Night Bus. And so I'm going to start at the top, and since I only need to fade one way with this, I'm going to put it on the cup straight, and then I'm going to go ahead and start tilting my cup so that it fades down into Dr. Pepper. And so once I am done doing this and I've got all of the glitters and coverage on here, then I'm going to go back and forth and start to blend more. So I'm going to go back in with my Everything Nice into the Sparta and then Sparta. And I don't show you this process because it takes a little while, but I just, want to show you initially getting it on the cup, and then I start to blend. This is where I'm starting to blend. And again, I'm doing more of a tilt this time instead of like pouring it straight on the cup. And just tilting it back and forth, and that's really pretty much it. And so you just do that until you feel like your blend is, sufficient for you. So I let the cup dry for 2 hours, and then I went in and sprayed it with Rustoleum's triple thick to seal the glitter in, and I put 2 coats on there. But you know, even with doing that, sometimes you're going to have some loose glitter. So what I do is I apply the glitter. I start with the darkest color, and really most people start with the lightest color, but I change out gloves. So I start at the top with the purple, and I just put it on the purple, then I go into the red, I change my glove out, and then I start at the bottom and then work my way to the middle. I don't go up and down with the epoxy on the cup because I don't want the colors to, I don't want the purple into the orange, and I don't want the orange into the purple. So I do it sideways. And it's okay to do that because your epoxy is self-leveling, and so it's going to level itself out. You just want to make sure that it's all covered so that there's no heavy spots in between each color. Like so you see, like it's got a little thick there, so I was just kind of wiping it. But I don't go up and down with the cup. I don't work it that way. I work it side to side, and only at the top do I go up a little bit, or down at the bottom, and I go, make sure you get the bottom of your cup. I am using a quick set epoxy, so this will be ready for another coat of epoxy in 2 hours. And don't forget your bottoms, and don't forget to torch those bubbles out. Alright, so I got 2 coats of epoxy on this cup, and it's really nice and smooth. And that's a nice thing with working with fine glitter is, you know, 2 coats is really all you usually need. The only thing that I really need to do is clean up the rim, because this is the point where I like to clean the rim. So after I get my first 2 coats of epoxy on, I'm going to go in and clean that spray paint out of the inside of the cup. And I use the acetone first to clean it, the spray paint off, because it loosens up any epoxy that's on the inside. So you can get your craft knife in there and start scraping around, and it comes up much easier if you use the acetone first. And so just make sure your craft knife has a nice fresh blade in there so that it comes up nice and easy. And once I get all of that spray paint out and get all of the epoxy out of the rim, then I'm going to go ahead and start with my sanding process. But I'm only going to sand the top and the bottom because that's all that needs it. The rest of it is nice and smooth. And so that's good. The rim is nice and good now. So I'm going to come in with a sanding block, a 220 grit sanding block, and I'm just going to smooth it out a little bit. But, you know, I find this process to be kind of like tedious with the sanding block, and it seems to take me a while to do it. So on the bottom, I really don't have any pokies, just a little bit of bumpiness, so I'm going to get that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break out my rotary tool, and so it is U-Tool, and I purchased it on Amazon, and I absolutely love it because it's got like a sanding circle thing. I'm not even sure what you call it. And I go around the rim of my cup on an angle because I want to take the epoxy and the glitter off like such a hair down from the lip, so that the epoxy goes over and it seals everything to the cup. And so it's going to take me a little while to do this, but I found it better than sanding, and I found that for me, I felt with sanding, I took it down sometimes too far and I didn't angle it correctly. So with this, I don't know, I feel like I can get a more even angle around the rim, and I have the spots more targeted. So, you know, look, everybody does their own thing. This is what works for me. Now, after I sand a small portion of it, I'm going to go and clean it with my 91% alcohol and make sure that I got it to where I want it. And then I'm going to keep going around the cup and cleaning it. And then I will give my cup a final clean with the 91% alcohol before I move in with my decals. Alright guys, so I don't normally show you my design space because most of what I do is fairly simple, but this was a little more involved, so I wanted to show you how I did this before I applied the decals. So I started out by measuring my cup. It was 9.5 by 8, so the skinny straights are 8 inches tall, but make sure you measure after you put your glitter on, because your cup is going to obviously be bigger with the glitter and the epoxy. And so that was something that I did not do. And so my decal fell a little short, but that's okay. I was able to fix it with no problems, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And so I made my square, and then what I did was I brought in my tree image, and I measured it to 5 inches high, and I wanted 3 on the cup, and then I spaced them out appropriately. I made a circle for the moon and just kind of measured and decided what size I wanted based on the image, and put that back on. And then I have my little bats, and so I'm not going to show you duplicating all of those, but I do put them in, and I reverse them so they go different ways. And I have my witch, which I also reversed her because I wanted her flying the opposite direction. And I'm trying to bring her to the front so that you can see there she goes over the moon. And then I've got my little ghosts, and so the ghosts the ghosts are kind of hard to put in there and move around, so like make sure that you get your ghost exactly where you want it before you release it, because if you try to reposition it, you're gonna have some trouble. But it's okay, because you know it's gonna be cut separately, and you're gonna be hand placing it anyway. And then I have my little graveyard scenes, and they're 2 little graveyard scenes, and they're too big to fit in between the trees. So what I do is I make a square, and then I slice out what I want and size it down and put it next to or in between the trees. And so I do this for each of the trees using the different graveyard markers. That's what you call them, the gravestones or grave markers. And I do that for all of them. And once I am done with that, so I have to do this 3 or 4 times, and I'm just, not really anything to narrate because I'm catching up to the point of where I'm going to weld all of these together. So, here we go, and making more squares and cutting out the spots that I want. And so this wasn't verbatim. Sorry guys, it was not verbatim because I measured wrong. But I'm just, really mostly showing you exactly how I did this, so that you get an idea if you want to use your own graveyard and different kinds of trees or whatever. Because I don't have these designs because they're from last year, so I can't link them in the description. But again, you can find, anything from Etsy. So once I get all of the gravestones or grave markers and the trees, I'm going to do another square shape and size it to below, move out my square and my ghosts, and I'm going to weld this together, and that's how it's going to, cut out as one big design. All right, so I'm having trouble grabbing my ghosts, so I wind up just deleting them so that I can get them out of there. But, once you place your ghosts, you can, just move them later, So what I do is I select all the image and I weld it together. And then that is pretty much it. All right, so it is time to place these decals. So I am going to, I hand placed the ghosts in there because they were cut separately on glow-in-the-dark vinyl. And so I'm going to wrap this around the cup like you would if you were doing a full vinyl wrap or a full water slide wrap, and try to get it lined up. And I'm going to apply it kind of using like the hinge method. And sort of like the hinge method. I'm going to get my transfer tape is going to be longer so it sticks to the cup. And then I'm going to, I didn't varnish it down enough, so I had to varnish it down. Make sure you're varnished down really well. And I start to peel back my paper. I lose it on the cup, and so now I test it again and reposition to realign it. So, this is just the fun stuff that you deal with when you're crafting. And so I'm going to get it on there, and I'm going to press my transfer tape down so it holds it on the cup. And then you're going to see I'm going to start to peel back the paper and apply the decal like you would a full, vinyl decal. And I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. And some of the tree branches kind of get snagged, and so I have to come back later to pick them up and reposition. It's okay. To do that, just don't press it all the way down. So if you see it's like bubbling and you're going to need to reposition it a little bit, just don't press it all the way down and just kind of keep going around. And, you know, also with this vinyl, it's 651 Oracle, and, you know, it responds really well to heat. So if you get a bubble in there, or you get like a crease or something, you can put your heat gun to it and you can smooth it out that way. And so that works really well. Or take your varnishing tool with your heat gun and, you know, smooth it out that way. And so once you get it down, you know, once you get it almost all the way around the cup, then you like stop and you start to peel the transfer tape. And I don't know that this is necessarily the right way or the easiest way to do this, but this is the way that I do it. This is what works for me. And so I'm just going to gently pull up my transfer tape, and, you know, until I get all the way around the cup. And so you can see, like I point out that there's like a little tiny gap because, again, I didn't measure appropriately. Oh, I'm not showing you that yet. I am showing you the tree branches that I'm going to just pull up with the opposite side of my craft knife. So not the sharp side, the duller side. Get under there. And I use the back side of it to press it down. I didn't need to take heat to this to smooth out the vinyl, but you could do that. And so I'm just getting another, you know, tree branch. There's a couple of them that did this to me. I'm getting to the point where I'm showing you, I'm smoothing everything out, popping any little bubbles. So you can pop some bubbles with your craft knife too. You can just kind of poke them and just press them down. And as long as you don't make too big of a slit, you shouldn't ever see it. And now am I getting to the point of where I need to fix my little gap issue? Nope, I am moving on to applying my moon and my witch and my bats. Alright, so this is where I'm going to fix that little gap. I'm just going to take a black paint pen and just go and basically color that in. And then once I'm done with that, I am going to tape off this cup and spray paint the bottom black. And when that bottom is dry, then I'm going to be ready for my first coat of epoxy. Alright, so everything is nice and dry, and I'm using 25 mLs of a fast or quick set epoxy. Sorry. Still my voice. Last week my voice was all shaky and I'm still having it a little bit. All right, so I'm applying 25 mLs of a quick set epoxy to this. And then I remember as I'm epoxying that I wanted to apply these pumpkin, I have pumpkin glitter from Glitter Makes It, and it's a really cute, like iridescent pumpkin, like iridescent, shiny, holographic. That's the word I wanted, holographic. So I apply my epoxy, I torch it down, and then I let it go for about, I guess it was like 15 or 20 minutes, because it's a fast set epoxy, it's going to set quicker. So here's the jack-o'-lanterns by Glitter Makes It, and I'm going to apply them using a, one of those little gem pickers. And so I go and I stop the cup and I put them on, and I like the way it looks. It's really cute. But as I'm going along, I find that they are curling upwards. So that's obviously not going to work, because that's going to create a huge problem with my epoxy. The epoxy was repelling on them. So what I wound up doing was I took the other end of my picker and I flipped all of the pumpkins the other way. With that, I lost the holographic, but I still you know, got the pumpkin where I wanted it. So, and like I said, the epoxy was starting to set, so it was kind of like thick, which is exactly how I wanted it to be, but it was still not set enough to where it leveled itself out. I did need one more coat of epoxy after this to completely cover the pumpkins, and so I used another 20 mLs, and that did the trick, and it was done. Oh, also, after I moved each pumpkin, I took my torch to it and just torched out any bubbles that I had created, and also that helped soften the epoxy back up to heat it back up and get it to self-level again. And just to show you how the glow-in-the-dark looks, it's like such a great vinyl, and I will link that in the description below. Alright guys, she's done. Look how pretty she is. I absolutely love these colors together. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. It was a little bit of a challenge putting in these pumpkins at the last minute. You do want to make sure that your epoxy is starting to set before putting them on there. And when I put them on the one way where it was like the holographic, the curve was the wrong way, so I had to flip them around, as you saw in the video. So, but you know, and I think if I had not done that, this would only needed one more coat, but I wound up needing to put 2 coats to, you know, 1 extra coat to cover those pumpkins, but I'm glad that I did it. It was definitely worth it. So that is it for this tutorial and wrapping up this Halloween season. It will continue on with fall, and we'll be starting Christmas very shortly. So please make sure to give me a thumbs up. Please make sure you subscribe. Check the description down below for links to products that I use or where you can find them. Share, comment. I love to hear your feedback. And that is it, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye.